Welcome back to Finnegan's Garage. Thank you for hanging out. Big episode here. We are finally embarking on part 2 of our Road to SEMA build sponsored by Bling Sauce. That's right, our 98 GMC, the truck we bought in Texas, road tripped all the way home to Georgia with under 14,000 miles on the odometer, is finally getting some love. We are about to slam this thing. In this episode, a complete coilover conversion for the front end of this truck that is going to shave weight, make it handle better, and make it this cool. Remember the gap we had? Gone. In this episode, we're going to give our 98 GMC, remember this truck? This is the 13,000 original mile truck. We drove all the way home from Texas to Georgia. We're gonna give this thing a bath, then we're gonna put it in my garage, and we're going to lower it. However, I'm out of stuff, so we're headed to AutoZone because that's where you can get Bling Sauce. Let's go. Right about now, some of you are probably saying, you're about to go in there and blow this truck apart and work on the suspension. Why would you wash it? Well, believe it or not, this truck actually has a pretty nice paint job on it, and it is covered in dirt. Although this thing has sat inside of my warehouse for the last few months, ever since our road trip. It's filthy. It's got, let's see, what are we at? We're at 13,434 miles. I think when I bought it, it had a little over 12,000 on it. I don't know, long story short, we put nearly 1,000 miles on it. It hasn't been washed, and the last thing I want to do is lean up against the bedsides or grab onto a fender to get up off the ground and you know, make this paint job worse, because this truck has to go to SEMA. It has to look nice, and I'm hoping to not repaint the entire truck if I can, because I like this color blue, and I'm trying real hard not to restore this truck. This is the reason I bought a low mileage one, is I wanted to start with something nice and do a bolt together build that anyone after they won the lottery at home could assemble themselves. We're gonna head to the parts store, buy some Bling Sauce, give her a bath, and then we'll rip her apart, because we're converting this entire truck to coilovers, which I'm really excited about. It's gonna lower it about 4 inches in the front, 6 inches in the rear. It's gonna convert the stock separate coil spring and front shocks and the rear leaf springs to coilovers all the way around from Ridetech. So this thing will look cooler, but it's gonna just handle awesome when we're all done. I think. I mean, I've never installed this suspension, but I know people that have, and I've heard good things. So we'll find out. This thing still runs perfect. Steering wheel still a little crooked, but the AC still works. The tape deck still works. I love my cloth bench seat. That's not getting changed. Like the interior on this truck, even though it's a vinyl floor mat, no carpet work truck, it is perfect. There's nothing wrong with the interior. No scratches, no rattles, no loose panels. It's 100% stock. This is all gonna stay. We're just gonna add a stupid amount of power, a really good stance, and church up the exterior of this truck. And then it'll go to the Bling Sauce booth at the SEMA Show 2024. And if you guys are lucky, you may be there too, because one of the other cool things Bling Sauce is doing is they are having a contest that you can enter for a trip to SEMA, to Vegas, for the ultimate Las Vegas automotive experience. It's gonna be killer. So when we dropped part 1 of this series, Bling Sauce did a giveaway, 500 free samples of Bling Sauce Platinum. You guys crushed it. It was gone in an hour. So we're doing another one, right? Heading to AutoZone right now, because 16-ounce bottles of Bling Sauce Platinum, line of car care products right now, you buy 2 of them, you save $4. Let's go inside and get some. Bingo. Okay. Secret sauce. Think of that as like quick detailer, right? Outside your truck. Trim sauce. All your black rubber and plastic stuffs. Dial that in. and leather sauce. I don't have any leather in the work truck, but I have a vinyl bed cover, and this is going to be perfect for that. So this will dial all that in. So doing this for two reasons. First off, Bling Sauce wants to take you guys to SEMA if you win their contest, but also this stuff is stupid easy to work with. They like to say, I like to say, professional results, amateur effort. You just wipe it on, wipe it off, you're good to go. Perfect for guys like me that are not professional detailers. Got it! Now let's go clean the truck. This 1970 Datsun 510 is one of the least trashy cars in the Finnegan fleet, which is why I'm getting rid of it. It's too nice. Well, really, I just have too many cars. And so, you guys can have a chance at putting this in your home garage, plus a bunch of other cool prizes. If you go to fsmgarage.com right now, you can find out how you could own this amazing piss yellow Datsun 510. This is the car that I bought at an auction, picked up at the beach, drove to the top of the mountain, went snowboarding, broke my leg, and this car, after catching fire, still got me with my busted leg all the way home back to Georgia. And as you've seen in the episode of Finnegan's Garage, Joe and I fixed all the wiring. Everything that melted, fixed. Still has the hardware store carpet in it, still has the awesome yellow hue, still is lowered on coilovers all the way around, 5-speed swap. Joe and I fixed the shifter. You no longer punch the dash when you shift it. It's got an L18 under the hood. This thing corners, this thing hauls butt for what it is. It's a lot of fun to drive, and I think you guys are gonna love it. When you're at fsmgarage.com right now, you don't gotta buy anything to enter to try to win this thing. But if you do buy a sticker pack, that'll get you 1 entry. If you buy a shirt or a hat, that'll get you 3 entries. If you feel like being extra sweaty this summer and buying a hoodie, that's 6 entries at a shot at taking this home. You could also maybe win 2 different wire care wiring kits to get your, hot rod, muscle car, boat, whatever you've got, rickshaw, connected and ready to be electric. You could also win some autographed FSM merch, like FSM hats like this one. FSMgarage.com is where you want to go for a chance at any of those things. Thank you, and on with the show. I happen to own the worst hose ever, and I don't know why I don't replace it. I think it's because I hardly ever detail stuff, and it's only in that moment when I have to detail something that I'm like, oh yeah, my hose sucks. I should replace it. Step 2, unkink your leaky hose. Try to minimize the water leaks as best you can. Then get out the bubble sauce, which it won't take much to do the job. However, we might have to wash this truck twice because of how filthy it is. I like this bucket because it's got 2 sides. And, I'll take the dirty rag after I wipe an area, dunk it in one side, rinse it in the next side, then go again. I find that minimizes scratches. Again, not a detailer, not even pretending to be one. So not only does my hose suck, but the nozzle, it's sussy as well. It's really not very good. Yeah.
It doesn't even spray very well.
No, we got no pressure. Everything leaks. It's gonna take way longer than it should because there's no water pressure in this hose. Can you see if it'll unkink a little more? Maybe if we unroll the entire thing. Can you grab me 1 rag and I'll help?
Oh, just watch behind me.
Okay. But then it looks like you do all the work, which isn't true. You do most of it, but it isn't true. If we do end up having to paint things, these are the areas that are gonna need it. These just like on both sides of the truck, there's just a few.
Little thing going in here too.
Yeah, it's
there.
directly above the hood hinge, and where you tighten the bolts.
Yeah.
I've seen that before on OBS trucks. I think we just have to do the bed cover and we're there. We're in the garage where it's much cooler. Now we can actually finish detailing this thing. Outside, way too hot. In fact, it says in the instructions of the Platinum line of car care products, like cool, dry surface, that's what you want to work with. So we have 3 of them, trim sauce, leather sauce, and secret sauce. The trim sauce, we're not gonna be able to use very much on this. This is for your exterior black plastics, like that door handle, the rubber trim. This will bring those black surfaces, if they're dull, they're starting to look, not quite black anymore, this will bring that back. Pretty simple to use. Leather sauce, we don't have any leather on this truck, so we're just gonna use it on our cheesy vinyl tonneau cover anyway. And basically the leather sauce is cool because it will clean and it will kind of moisturize this deal. It'll take out light stains, stuff like that. Very easy to use. And then secret sauce is probably my favorite because I'm not a detailing guy, I'm probably not ever gonna wax one of my cars. And with this, after I wash the car, spray this on, rub it in, rub it off, I don't have to wax my car like ever again. This will take out minor surface scratches. Basically, it'll give it a gloss finish that'll last for a while, and it's fantastic stuff. And again, if I use this, I don't have to wax later on, which is great. As we always say, amateur effort, professional results. That's what you get with Bling Sauce. So, do you want to do tonneau cover, and I'll do door handles, and I'll do the paint.
Just spray and wipe. Shake well.
That literally is spray it, rub it in, wipe it clean. You know, so like with this, with the Secret Sauce, you'll want 2 microfibers. You're gonna spray it on about 3 feet, you know, wide there. You're gonna rub it in with the one, and then wipe it off with the other, or just keep flipping the microfiber. It's pretty simple. And this truck has scratches in it, which is why, as I've said before, I'm hoping we don't have to get this thing repainted, but there are scratches in it. And we're gonna see, you know, what can we do here? Ooh, that's aggressive. Yeah, there we go.
Gives it a nice wet finish.
Yeah, that leather sauce is cool because it's supposed to not leave a greasy finish, you know?
No, it's not. It's not greasy at all.
Which is cool because you don't want to, like, let's just say you had leather seats in your 98 GMC work truck. You don't want to slip slide off those things.
Or even like doing a tonneau cover like this, you don't want, with greasy stuff, the dirt just sticks to it.
Right.
You know? And I hate that.
Yeah, look at that. Done. You know, and to be honest, this truck, even though she's only got like under 14,000 miles on her, it sat outside for a little while under a carport, and there is fallout on it. You can feel it. Like really, at some point, we'll have to cut and buff this thing or paint some portions of it. But not today. Today is just making her nice enough to go film and work on and not scratch it when we lean against it while we're working on it. It's like the best $200 I've spent in a long time. We might be able to get away with like not repainting this truck, but perhaps
color sand,
or maybe even have it re-cleared, because there's spots in it that are just, you know, like right there, like under the lights of SEMA. That probably won't look too cool. Then again, I mean, look how old it is. It's not in bad shape. Maybe the people at SEMA would appreciate the fact that after all these years, it has very few miles and it still looks this nice.
I love a detailed product that smells good too.
I love when it smells good and that I don't have to put much effort into.
Yeah.
If you want to really church it up, the side of the seat, you know, the cloth bench,
the vinyl
has vinyl.
Oh,
you know?
I can do that. Let's start on the other side. Well, you get that door. It looks way better. You can fully see the difference, like
between this side and this side.
Yeah, this side's pretty much a mirror finish. This side's a little hazy.
Oh yeah, I can see the fluorescent lights in there.
Yeah, you can see the difference, like how smooth and clean that is, and how kind of hazy this side is.
All right, enough detailing. Let's wrench. We got pieces to install.
All right, guys, we're getting ready to tear apart the front end of this truck, and hopefully the rear end also. We're just waiting on a few parts for the rear. But before we get started, we want to measure the factory ride height. And so for the front, we are looking at, looks like 32 3/4 of an inch is factory ride height on the front. Let's see what we got in the rear. In the rear, we have 33.5. So 32 3/4 to our fender lip here, 33.5 on the rear. Now let's get ready. Let's tear apart this front end and get the new front end on.
You ever drive down the highway and notice a car carrier driving with brand new vehicles on it, and every one of them looks like it's been lowered because they're all strapped down, you know, so they don't fall off? And have you said to yourself, man, that Volvo, that looks good. You know why? It's because it's lowered. And it's a biological fact that everything looks better lowered. I don't care who you are, where you're from. If you don't believe that, your opinion is wrong, which is why we lower everything here. Not a lot of lifting going on in Finnegan's garage, and not just because the ceiling's real low, but we like lowered stuff. Our GMC is no different. We are for sure lowering it. Now this is a unique build for us because we're not going crazy. We are not going to be doing a bunch of cutting or welding or fabbing. This is the kind of build that, again, if you win the lottery or have a bunch of disposable income, you could copy this build at your house and know going in that if you use the parts we use, you're not going to be in over your head. You need basic hand tools. Really, that's it. You know, if you got a friend with a MIG welder, there might be a couple things on this deal that, you know, need a little bit of welding, but you should not be pie cutting tubing, TIG welding, you know, tube bending. You should not be doing any of that. And our new suspension is a great example of the ethos of this build. Everything came from Ridetech. It is from its street grip lineup of suspension. And everything here is engineered to be lighter and better than the parts we're taking off. So for example, we'll talk about our front suspension first because that's the first thing we're going to work on here. We'll get to the rear later. This is the driver's side coil spring and damper that came out of here. We're going to scale this stuff because I am curious about it. We're replacing that monster spring with this single adjustable coilover and billet aluminum mount. Yep, it's lighter. It's a lot lighter and it's better. Now, we move to the left. These are the spindles. Here's the crusty stock one. Here's the new Ridetech one, which might, well, I'm gonna guarantee you it's not lighter because it's beefier. And it's beefier in all the right places because we're lowering our truck. And when you lower a truck, especially an A-arm front suspension truck like ours, you're gonna max out your ball joints. The control arms are gonna go up as the truck goes down. Everything's gonna be at weird angles. So if you stick with a stocked stamped steel control arm, your ball joint's gonna do that, and eventually it's gonna snap and break. So enter the Ridetech tubular strong arms. Not only do these re-angle the ball joint and fix your geometry, but they're lighter and probably stronger. The thing I like about these things is, especially the upper one, it's CNC bent out of one tube, not multiple tubes. We have Delrin bushings pressed in here. They have Teflon in them, so really it's gonna pivot good. It's gonna last. Like instead of the crappy rubber bushings we have in here that, I gotta be honest, the truck has not quite 14,000 miles on it, but if you start looking in there, the bushings are already deteriorated just from being around. Not even driven a lot, just hanging out on Mother Earth is ruining those bushings. So, to recap, front of the truck, getting rid of all the stock stuff, replacing it with Ridetech parts. This should bring the truck down about 4 inches while not really affecting the suspension travel of the truck because our lowered control arm, the lower coilover mount is dropped, okay? And by dropping it and using a drop spindle to achieve some of the lowering portions of this deal, we end up with a damper that still has a good amount of shock travel built into it. You can see the shaft there. This isn't like a 2-inch shock. This one, I'd have to measure it, but I see at least 4 inches of shaft showing there, so that's good news. Essentially, the drop is gonna come from the shorter spring, and then the spud in our spindle is moved upwards in relationship to everything else on the spindle. So we have 2 different sides of the truck here, so they're gonna be opposite. But if I were to put these here and here, you can see that spud is in a different place than this one. This one, I haven't measured it, and I gotta be honest, the Ridetech website is interesting because it doesn't tell you how much the drop is for the spindle and how much the drop is for the coilover. But it does tell you in the instructions you're gonna get about a 4-inch drop. So I'm gonna guess we're gonna get 2 inches here, 2 inches here without sacrificing travel. It's gonna be awesome. And as big a fan as I am of the front suspension, wait till you see the rear suspension because it's bananas. We're getting rid of the leaf springs completely and I'm fired up about it, and you'll see here once we move to the back of the truck. But for now, Joe's gonna blow apart the driver's side of the truck. I'm gonna start working on the passenger side, and we're dropping. It's gonna be awesome. All right, everybody, step 1, we need access. So I'm gonna remove the inner fender liner because it'll make it easier to unbolt the upper control arm, but also we wanna mark the position of the alignment cams on the upper control arm because I don't think this truck's ever been aligned before other than factory. And so those cams haven't been messed with. And if we put it all back together close, it shouldn't wear out the tires on the way to the alignment shop. So what he's doing is he's marking the alignment cam there. So then when we put our new control arms on, we're going to reuse the bolt and the cams. But that'll at least get it back into the ballpark of where it was so that we can drive to the alignment shop and not burn the front tires off this thing. All right, now that that's marked, we can go buck wild. We can remove the sway bar, disconnect the steering, take the caliper off, hang that from the frame. We are going to be changing the brakes, but we're going to let the caliper hang out over here and not break the line until we're ready to do the brakes, because the goal would be to try to swap calipers real fast and not let all the fluid come out of the system, because that just makes bleeding it easier later. It's not necessary, but it makes it easier. And once the accessories are off this, we'll put a floor jack under the blower control arm, disconnect the two ball joints, split the spindle from the control arms, and then we'll come in here, remove that hardware, this hardware, and all this comes out. And very little of any of this will get reused. Then we can weigh it, find out the difference between the new parts and the old parts. What do you think? Going good, huh? Yeah. Okay, you just keep sleeping there. We'll keep working. Go, Milwaukee. There you go. And then just go out that side. About, I don't know, 15 or 20 minutes. Got it all apart except for that castle nut, that castle nut. We're supporting this with the jack because the spring is under tension. So we're going to sauce these real quick, break these loose, and then hit this and this with a sledge. It should split that apart and keep it from exploding, because we'll leave the nuts on there, just hand tight. If it won't come apart, we'll use a fork, which a fork and a hammer is guaranteed to get it apart. Oh, oops.
Sorry about your knee.
Just gonna go get a lottery ticket now. Holy crap. One thing about Finnegan's Garage is we have some nice things. We have less nice things. What you're looking at here is...
Some things don't.
Yeah, you're looking at a Craftsman socket with a Challenger adapter that came out of a Snap-on toolbox. Got a little bit of everything in here.
You want to take the rotor off or no?
Oh, no, because we're not reusing it.
You're good. You know what's crazy? This truck is getting close to, I mean, it's basically 25 years old, you know? Almost a 30-year-old truck. How crazy is that? It seems like yesterday that we were playing with these trucks when they were new.
See, I never did. If you had money,
you got to play with these, yeah.
You got a full size. If you're a broke mini trucker, you got the S10.
Well, let me clarify something. I was a broke mini trucker.
Go ahead and let it down.
But my dad had money, and we worked on my dad's truck.
And my dad was like, "Why are you screwing around with these crappy lowered trucks, son?" That's what my dad said. I said, "You don't understand, old man. Now get out of my way while I stay in your driveway."
It's a lifestyle, mister.
There we go. Boom. And this, if I push down on the control arm, should come out without hitting me in the face. There we go. One more time. Now we're just stuck in the spring pocket.
Got it stuck in there?
Temporarily. Not quite ready to install this. We got to modify one thing on the truck. Essentially, this is a bolt-in kit, except that upper mount will need a little more room in the spring pocket in order for this to sit flush. So what do you got to do, Joe?
There's a bunch of metal fingers sticking down inside this coil pocket that the spring went around. I've got to get up in there and physically cut all those fingers back so that we can make this sit nice and flush in there and line up perfect with our shock shaft.
Right.
It has to be aligned perfect.
The spring pocket is designed to keep the coil spring from rotating, so you have to cut those tabs out in order for that to sit flat in there.
Yes.
What are you going to use? Die grinder?
Die grinder.
Sweet.
Die grinder with a 3-inch cutting blade on it, and we'll be set. There's all these little pointy fingers that were coming down that were on the inside of the coil spring. We have to cut those out so our new aluminum cup can fit up in there nice and flat. Now I can move on and get the coilover installed.
Well, we have taken apart the entire passenger side of the truck. We have clearanced the coil bucket. We're ready to put the parts in, but before we do that, we're going to scale them because I feel like this is good info. This is not necessarily a race truck. We're not being extremely weight conscious about it. We're not going to go out and buy a bunch of carbon fiber parts for this. But if you guys are at home wondering what's the difference between the old stuff and the new stuff, we're going to find out. And you know, maybe you start with this on your journey to building a race truck, because this stuff can be used down the road. You know, tubular control arms should be lighter than the stamped factory steel stuff. For sure, this aluminum bodied coilover and coil spring is going to be lighter than that right there. But how much? Let's find out. So
I want to zero the scale.
Yeah, first things first, zero the scale. Years ago when I got this scale from the folks at Holley and started weighing nitrous bottles, I did not zero it, and the comment section went off about what an idiot I was for not zeroing the scale. I didn't zero it, and I think I just kept adding everything because I hadn't zeroed it. But today we zero it. We've learned a lot. We've grown as men, as individuals. This is going to want to roll, so I'm not going to add any weight. I'm just going to keep it from moving. All right. I'm going to try to keep it from moving.
Yeah, let's just call it 9 pounds.
We're a little over 9 pounds. Okay.
Right at 9 pounds.
9 pounds for the coil spring, which is going to hold the weight of the truck, and the damper, which is going to control the motion of the suspension. Now, 17 pounds.
Holy cow.
So this is not quite double the weight, but
almost
pretty close. Now again, this was meant to hold the truck up at stock height, and as Joe and I found out allegedly during our road trip, the top speed of this truck is like 95. That's when it turns off. So this did the job. I felt safe. I felt secure, you know, and we could have been really cheap and just cut about a coil and a half and lowered this thing down. But then we would have reduced the travel of the front suspension. We would have reduced the load carrying capability. It wouldn't have rode as good. It wouldn't have handled as good. It just would have looked cooler.
But what's a lower truck without a couple kidney shots down the road?
I know. But the folks at Ridetech believe, and they're probably right, that this will still carry the load similar to this while having a lowered stance, the same suspension travel as stock, and it'll work better. We'll find out. And so far, she's lighter. Now this here, I don't feel like there's going to be, I feel like this is going to be heavier. It looks beefier. So let's see here.
It's much beefier.
All right, our new spindle, 22 pounds. So far we're down about 8 pounds, but we might give some of that back right now. Yeah, this feels lighter. Okay, so we were down 8. We're giving back 5. So we're down 3 pounds. This is 5 pounds lighter than that.
But that spindle's so beefy. It's so nice to know that it's not going to break.
Yeah, if you're going to run into stuff with a Ridetech spindle.
I mean, just even if you want to go out and...
Okay. Stamped upper control arm, factory.
Nope.
really not, it's really not heavy. All right, 8.7. All right. And then, this thing's beef.
But it's still lighter.
Still lighter.
6.8.
We're lighter by about, not a full pound, but close to it. So we were down to 3 pounds of weight savings. We're at about, we're not quite 4, but we're close to 4 pounds of weight saving. So now,
this will be a huge difference.
dude, this thing is beef. Because this is, so remember, this is carrying the coil spring. So this is carrying the weight of the truck right here. And as such, this needs to be sturdy. And it is. I mean, you don't hear
24, almost 24 and a half pounds.
You don't hear about people breaking a stock control arm, but what you do hear is people dragging through them when they have really low trucks. That is possible. 24 and a half pounds versus... Whoa, we just saved 10 pounds.
That's a 10 pound
dude.
savings.
Oh, so if you add that to our nearly 4, we've nearly saved 18 pounds just on this corner of the truck. We're gonna save another 18 there. And then when we get to the back of the truck, we're taking the leaf springs completely off and converting it to coilovers. So, I mean, if we've already saved
40 pounds almost on the front.
36-ish up front, yeah. I bet we can save another 30 or 40 in the back. I mean, you could probably get 100 pounds off this.
And we have new calipers showing up, rotors. Those calipers are probably going to be much lighter than these heavy steel ones.
They'll be aluminum, so yeah.
So we'll be close to 40 pounds in the front by the time we're done.
Yeah, I believe our Motion Raceworks delivered calipers and rotors are coming today in the mail at some point. We're going with TBM brakes, and those should save some weight. So we'll weigh those as well, but just know, if you buy this kit, you're gonna shave about 36 pounds off the nose of the truck. Like, you know, and then, you know, if you're one of those guys that wants to go to a pro touring truck shootout or another autocross event, this stuff is lighter, should work better. All right, let's install the shiny stuff. Okay, so here's the deal, everybody. When you install this, the first thing you have to do is you have to perfect the alignment between the coil spring adapter and the truck. Now, if you notice, it's a round adapter, but the hole is offset, and that is because the hole in the factory frame, you can see right down there, is not centered in the coil spring pocket. So what you've got to do is, when you put this together, not only do you have to trim some fingers on certain trucks because there's changes in the chassis over the years, but you want to leave the hardware a little loose so that you can rotate all of this so you can get the alignment perfect. You don't want this bound up in that top mount.
This here sits flush on the bottom.
Yep.
This actually goes through the shock hole.
Yep, which you've already enlarged with a unibit.
Yeah, you have to enlarge it to 3/4 of an inch, and this actually goes in and it kind of holds it in place. The harder part about installing this is getting this in there, holding it in place,
Feeding the shock.
putting this back up in there without it falling back down and losing your spot.
That's why.
So I'm going to show you how the magic is done.
That's how you got to do it. I'll go from the top and help. I'll go over the top like Stallone, and I will help. Well, let me just set the camera here and see if it'll stay.
That demo bushing goes down flat, and the ball part goes to the top with the little spacer.
Aluminum spacer, like that, and then the nylock.
And then just tighten it up. You're gonna probably have to. You're gonna need the socket too. Going the wrong way.
This is one of those ratchet wrenches, but only part-time.
Yeah, it did that to me taking it off. It worked perfect when I put it on yesterday, and then all of a sudden it started acting up this morning.
Not all ratchet wrenches are created equal.
No.
Like that. Just did it again.
All right.
And that I think is
It's in
inch pounds, I think is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I think
It's
something like
8
that.
inch pounds or something. This here is what you're looking for. It's not in there totally tight because we still have to assemble the spring and everything down here. And then this ultimately gets torqued. I'll have to check the spec, but I think it's like 80 inch pounds, which is really light.
Yeah, it's not that much.
All right. Earlier I said this is a work truck and, you know, we're not going to church it up too much, but this right here is unfortunate. This almost looks, it's so interesting. This is where the control arm covers that part of the frame, especially at full droop. It does look
It
like...
looks like someone brushed something on it.
It does look like someone came in here. And I don't know the exact story of this truck. I know that it was in Jersey, I think, and it was under a lean-to or, you know, like a carport, and maybe one side was exposed to the elements more than the other. I definitely believe the mileage. Like, nothing on this truck is wore out, and the bulk of the chassis is beautiful. But there's just certain areas like this where it's like, huh, why is this black and why is this surface rusted?
Look, you could tell someone brushed it on.
Yeah, see the swipes?
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody churched it up a little bit. But we'll go back later when we do the drivetrain install, and I think we'll make it a little nicer. We'll at least stop it from rusting. All right. Why
would we want to do that on anything we own?
Well, this is nicer than anything we own.
But I understand that.
This is, let's not, I'm not about...
Everything has rust.
I'm not about being so lazy that we're not going to prevent stuff from getting worse. I'm just not the guy who's going to bumper to bumper fully restore anything and make it so nice that I can't drive it. So there's a difference. It's subtle, but it's there.
Oh, I can't wait to make you buy a bunch of tires for this for the rear. Burnouts, burnouts, burnouts. So, you want to make sure you get your shim in there?
That's a Delrin shim, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Which is a type of plastic. And that I believe is impregnated with Teflon, not
you want to
not that other stuff.
Make sure you put your name up the right way.
All right, keep it
not
100.
That it matters, but
keep it 100. And did you anti-sleaze any of the threads here?
I have not.
Because that makes threading this, once there's tension on it, a lot easier.
I have it.
Let's do that.
But give me this real quick.
Oh no, anti-sleaze.
I will get above it. It'll go right it'll go right through it. You know what I mean? And then I don't have to hold the spring in place. Ouch.
And then anti-seize compound on the stick by Loctite. Know it, love it, embrace it.
No more getting it all over your fingers.
No, I'll still get it on my fingers. Just maybe not as much.
Hopefully you figured that out.
We'll start there. You're not quite halfway up the body. I would preload it halfway up the body. So go up like another 1/4 inch and then we'll call it good. We'll make them both the same, and then when we're all done, we'll probably have to adjust it.
Oh. Yeah, now it's getting tight to where I can't.
It's all right, we can finish.
Probably going to need to put it in the lower arm.
Or you could stick a screwdriver through here and put the tool on it.
Yeah, the tool's interesting. It's not one with a handle. It's like you could stick a 3/8 socket in it.
That's pretty common. All right, and then let me have something to put through the bottom of the coilover, like, an extension or that there.
You want to ratchet?
Yeah, because I'm only going to get so far before that's going to get difficult to use. Okay, all right, we're there. About halfway. It's a good starting point. All right, let's do control arms. Get up.
All right, we're going to install our upper control arm. It's important to make sure if you do mark your shims, your camber stuff here, that you make sure these go back in the right locations. This one was the front, this one was the rear. I transferred them over from the stock upper control arm to this one, and now I will make sure that I keep them separated when I put them down here on the floor. But as you can see, I have marks on here, which will line up with marks that I made on the actual mounting tabs. So let's get this guy up in there. For now, these are always going to kind of go in here loosely. I'll get the rest of the components mounted up in here. We'll get the lower control arm stuff hanging here. Get this mounted up in there. That's in there now. It's important to understand your bolts. You can see the difference in these two. This one is for the front of the lower control arm mount. This one is for the rear. There are different widths here. You can see this one is much wider than here. So let's get this up in here. Oh, okay. Voila. I'm leaving everything loose until I get it all together, and then I'll torque everything down. This bolt only goes one way. It doesn't fit the other way. I love having bolts always facing the rear of the car, but in this application it's just not going to work. We can now put our spindle on. So as you can see, those lines are matched up pretty well. They're not perfect, but we'll get it close. We'll let the alignment shop deal with it. That's where the factory control arms were. And we will go ahead and snug all this up.
Front suspension's together. The only piece missing right now is the front sway bar, which we're about to install. But before we do that, we're going to replace our stock cast iron brakes on the front of this thing. Yes, they are disc brakes. However, they are very heavy. And when you're about to nearly triple the amount of horsepower under the hood, you probably should think about having more stopping power. So to that end, we have talked to the guys at TBM Brakes, which you guys probably have heard about because we work a lot with Motion Raceworks around here because they make excellent parts. Well, they recently acquired the Brake Man, or TBM Brakes, and it's just gotten better. More part numbers, more cool stuff, and one of the newest part numbers they have are the XS Extreme Street Performance Brake System for Chevy OBS trucks. That's 88 to 98 trucks. It's kind of a bridge between their thin, light race only brakes and their really big brakes for modern muscle cars. These brakes are 12.19 inches in diameter. They're meant for a 15-inch wheel. They're meant for someone who's not going to put, 22s or 26s. They're meant for someone who's not looking for the lightest thing on the planet. They're looking for something that you might be able to fit into a 15, 16, 17-inch wheel and work on the street and last. It's cool stuff. It starts with a vented and slotted rotor that's black anodized. It's a two-piece deal with a separate hat, which allows you to use their billet hub with multiple bolt pattern configurations in it. The caliper is really where this stuff shines. One piece billet caliper. It's massive. It's very rigid. It's very strong. It doesn't have tubes running through it. The whole thing is just more rigid than a lot of caliper designs I've worked with before. And this 4-piston caliper should have way more clamping power than the stuff we're taking off this truck. Now, this kit is so new that we're kind of the guinea pigs for it. And we found out right away that we're not going to be able to bolt the calipers on today because our caliper brackets aren't right for our spindles. We're using an aftermarket Ridetech spindle, and these trucks have more than one spindle design on them. And so we're waiting on new brackets. So what we're going to do for today, because ideally we want this truck to stay mobile, at least rolling, pushing around the garage, is we are going to install the front rotors without the calipers, get that together, test fit the wheels back on it, because I think they'll go, and then move to the back of the truck before ordering wheels and tires. Our goal for this video is to figure out the ride height that we like, start measuring for what wheel and tire we can fit in this thing, and then Once we have the wheels and tires, we'll complete the brake install and give you guys a road test and let you know how that works out.
Yeah, make sure. Oh yeah, I put that somewhere. Thank you, kind sir. I just realized there's a backing plate on this, and it's not actually threaded in the frame. So put this one in, right? And then you'll have to come back out again.
Yeah, that one will locate it while you torque in the other one. What's interesting about our new sway bar is it's beefier. It also mounts in a different spot. This is where the original sway bar mount went. This one is coming further forward. Is that correct? Wait, that's not correct, is it?
What's that?
Doesn't it mount back here where the original sway bar went?
Oh. Yeah, you're right. Why am I going here? What was here?
I was like, that's weird. Yeah, it goes in a different spot. That's wild. And then I was like, well, why would it go there?
Okay.
Which begs the question, what went here?
You know what? Maybe hooks.
Oh, that's what it is. The tow hooks are missing off this thing.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing about this is it's got the factory fog light bumper, but no fog lights. And the tow hooks are gone off of it.
But
maybe she's not 100% stock.
those in there then.
Yeah, we could fish this out and get rid of whatever noise that thing's making.
I never heard it over the bump and stereo system inside.
Oh, don't even talk about my tunes.
I'm not.
These things are awesome. Uh-oh. I
I
flipped it up against the side of the frame and now I can't get it out. I need a tool to
Good job, Finnegan.
I need a tool to get that out. All right, if you're at home trying to do this, step one,
Put it in the right holes.
put it in the right, like everywhere else in life, put it in the right hole. But you put the rear bolt in first, put red Loctite on the front countersunk bowl, tighten that one, then remove the rear one. Then you know you've got it positioned properly. Beautiful. And now we install the end links. Right there.
Our end links are in, and it says not to tighten up the end links until you have both of them loosely installed. So I've got the other side in. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this up. Then I'll jump on the other side, tighten it up, and that should be it for the sway bar. Oh, lovely. Okay, sure. You can squeeze the 7/16 in here to hold that side to get this tight. And we should be good. Now, let's go over there, tighten up the other side real quick. We've got both of our mounts underneath here holding the bar done. Both of our end links are installed. I showed you guys that. The next thing we have here are these collars that slip over. So these little collars are a split collar. It'll slip over on each end here to keep the sway bar from moving back and forth. And after that, that's all there is to this. Spindles are installed, hubs are installed, our new billet hubs are installed. Don't have the correct bracket to mount our caliper, so we're just going to kind of leave this hanging here for now until we get the right bracket, and then we'll come back and finish off the brakes later. But that's pretty much it. Front end is done for now. We'll put some tires on it, put it back on the ground. Wheels are back on, and I'm about to drop it down on the race ramps for the first time. Let's see how low it sits. Oh, goodness gracious. She's a rubbing, touching right now.
Front end is done. Well, real close to being done. I'd say it's about 90% there. It still needs an alignment. The ride height needs to be adjusted because we're rolling on stock wheels. And to be honest, we're not rolling anywhere right now because the fenders are touching the tires. However, because we are now on coilovers and we are fully adjustable with this here little tool, we can quickly and easily raise the nose of this truck up. So all we're doing right now is trying to take the load off the coil spring so that we can more easily adjust the collar that's on the bottom of it to lift the truck up some. So here's what we're looking at. Again, these arms are really cool because the lower mount is dropped in relation to where it would be with a stock control arm, which allows them to put a longer coilover in here. So even though the truck's been lowered, we have the same suspension travel, or real close to it, that we had before. But that mounting position is fixed, and obviously so is the upper because it goes right through the frame. So in order to lift the truck higher, you have two options. Stiffer coils, or put more preload on this coil by raising that round collar right there. We're basically going to thread it clockwise to push up on the spring, and that will lift the truck. And right now, we don't have to be too exact about this. You know, we're legit just doing this to get the tires off the fender so we can roll the truck outside. These are great because instead of having to relocate a wrench over and over again, you can make more turns with a ratchet before having to relocate the ratchet. Awesome design. Whoever came up with this, I hope you're very rich. I hope you're like the guy that invented the little umbrellas that go in cocktails at resorts everywhere. That will tell me whether we went up high enough. Will it roll? It doesn't need more.
There's about maybe a 1/4 inch at the tightest.
What do you think, pal? You like it? Yeah? You like it? Oh, yeah. You love cruising. You love a good pickup. We'll definitely cruise. We'll definitely go cruising. Yeah, buddy. You shake? Oh, look at you. You got tricks. I don't have any treats for you. Sorry. Maybe later. Did I say the T word? I did. I'm sorry. I didn't say the W word, though. We already did that this morning. There you go.
Our rear end's got some flex.
Ah, she's practically a rock crawler. Yeah, she's ready. She's ready to go mall cruising. Run over some parking blocks.
Right.
Hop some curbs. Live that Jeep life. Oh, just offended all the Jeep people out there, didn't I? Sorry. Come on, let's be real. Most of you never leave the pavement. Just like me. It's rare. All right, you want to crank this one? How long has it been? I feel like the old Raptor is a pavement princess now.
The Raptor is a driveway princess because it barely goes anywhere.
That's true.
Anything.
That's true. Whenever we leave, we take.
The Raptor never leaves the driveway unless I'm going to the warehouse.
You're keeping the mileage down.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That's like, saving your girlfriend for the next guy. I'm just saying. And that, children, is the rakiest rake I've ever raked in this garage.
We need some huge Kragers in the back.
We're talking a little bit of tire in the front, and we are just jacked in the back. It's like we have the opposite of the eat. Like we should just go to North Carolina or South Carolina right now and just ride around. We made it. We're outside. Was I right or what? That color in the sun, gorgeous. And I'm actually surprised we made it out here because these tires do rub the fenders. So if you guys are wondering, can you run 15s with this kit? Totally can. You're gonna wanna change the tires because even if you dialed in a bunch of negative camber, yeah, you might be able to go in a straight line, but you're not turning corners and hitting bumps. They're gonna rub the fenders. You don't want that. And so that'll be the next thing for us, is ordering a proper set of wheels and tires, finishing the front brake install, and then we're either gonna road test this with the V6 or we're just gonna lose our minds and rip all the drivetrain out and go right to the 1,000 horsepower LS deal we're getting from Texas Speed. I don't know what'll happen, but you'll see it here on Finnegan's Garage real soon. In the meantime, do not forget, there is still time to enter for your chance to win my 1970 Datsun 510. That's right, that car that Joe and I road tripped from the beach to the mountain, melted the wiring harness, fixed all of it. It is still available. No purchase necessary. You don't gotta buy anything. But if you do buy a shirt, a hat, a hoodie, stickers, whatever, you get more entries into the contest. And if you don't win the Datsun, you can win one of 2 WireCare Motorsports wiring connection kits. Those are full of Deutsch connectors and tools, stuff to make sure that what happened to us in the Datsun doesn't happen to you. And if you don't get that, there's lots of autographed merch like signed FSM hats. Good luck. Hope you win. And if nothing else, I'll see you real soon on Finnegan's Garage. Thanks.